Okay, friends, I want to share with you a topic. One time we need to have a Wednesday night share on this topic. The Mishnah in Masechta Tainis Tesvav Amavez brings an ancient tefillah. Mi she'ana li Avraham Avinu behar haMoriah. You know that song? It's also a Mishnah. Mi she'ana li Avraham Avinu behar haMoriah hu yaninu. He who answered Avraham on the mountain of Moriah should answer you. What do you mean, he who answered Avraham Avinu behar haMoriah? What did Avraham daven on Har HaMoriah that we're saying, Hashem, you answered Avraham on Har HaMoriah, you should answer us? Did Avraham Avinu, do you know of any tefillah that Avraham Avinu offered on Har HaMoriah? What is this referring to? What is this Mishnah in Tainis Tezvav Amud Beis referring to? So, first of all, there's an amazing Rambam in the Mar Nevuchim. You know, with all the controversy with the Mar Nevuchim, as you know, the Rugged Shavar and the Meshech Chachma embraced the Mar Nevuchim as one of the very fundamental svarim in Jewish thought. The Rambam says in the Mar Nevuchim that one of the lessons of the Akeida is the clarity of prophecy. Now, by the way, I want to share with you. You know, I don't know if we could say such a thing. Actually, I do know if we could say such a thing. Is there any aspect of the Torah, or any part of the Torah, that should be learned and studied more than others? In other words, can we say, you know, we have 54 parshiyos, gematria miyad, yeah? We have 54 parshiyos, gematria miyad. Is there any parsha that should be learned more than other parshiyos, or is there any section that should be learned more than other parshiyos? And the answer is yes. The Abarbanel says, the Malbim says, that the Akeida is the greatest zechus through which Hashem favors Klal Yisrael, and therefore one should study the Akeida more than any other chelek in the Torah. Anyway, the Rambam says in Mar Nevuchim, in Chelek Gimel, Perek Chav Daled, that one of the limudim of the Akeida is what we call the clarity of nevuah. The clarity of prophecy. What does it mean, the clarity of prophecy? Because if you think that that when a prophet has prophecy, there is any doubt or any question about the meaning or the clarity, is this Hashem? Is this a dream? Is it his imagination? The limud, one of the important limud in Akeida, is the absolute clarity and conviction of prophecy, that when the Navi communicates with Hashem. Because had Avraham had any even remote uncertainty about the message of the Akeida, he would not be allowed to go and slaughter his son. Safek nefashis lahakel. If Avraham Avinu was, let's say, 98% sure this was Nevuah, but he had some reason, some kind of doubt, maybe this was a dream, he wouldn't be allowed to do it. So how did he know? Let's say we would meet Avraham. We would say, Avraham, maybe it's a dream. And the answer is, Avraham said, that was no dream. And this is one of the tenets of the Torah, the clarity of the nevuah of a Navi. Okay. But what exactly is this? So now, here we know, Avraham was absolutely sure that God told him to shech Yitzchak. So what is this tefillah? Presumably the tefillah was that Avraham davened, Hashem, please, this can't be true. Make this not happen. Did Avraham daven that? Because we know that when the Malach came and he said, Avraham, Al tasbei me'uma, Avraham said, please, could I just, now that I'm here, could I just make a little cut and make a little blood come out? So we see that Avraham Avinu was reluctant to listen to the angel. So what exactly was the tefillah of Avraham? Misha'ana Avraham Avinu behar haMoriah. So there are some amazing perushim here. I actually saw this when I was flying back from Australia in last summer. A friend of mine gave me Rabbi A. Levine gave me a manuscript that he was working on, and it's now a sefer called Parsha for the Curious. And I remember reading it on the plane, and he brought some very interesting Maramakaimos about this topic. The first is the hafla in the Panim Yafais. In the Panim Yafais, the hafla says on the pasuk, "V'nishtachave v'nashuva aleichem." That Avraham Avinu tells Eliezer and Yishmael, okay, we're going to go bow down. I don't know if you heard the clip last night. Whenever you go to the Harabayis, you have to bow. That's why Avraham Avinu said v'nishtachave, the Brisker Rav says. And we'll return to you. So Rashi points out, what do you mean return? Only one of them was coming back. So Rashi says, he's prophesying that they're both going to return. Okay, I mean, Avram didn't really know he was prophesying, right? He thought he was going to do this. So what's the simple meaning of the words, v'nashuv aleichem, says the Hafla. So the Hafla says the word v'nishtachave means to daven, to pray. Meaning, v'nishtachave, we're going to pray, and you know what we're going to pray? Not v'nashuva. V'nishtachave, we're going to pray, nashuva aleichem, please Hashem, we both hope to come back to you two, Eliezer and Yishmael. So in other words, yes, Avraham davened. You know what he davened? He davened, Hashem, please make me not have to do this. What do you mean? He didn't want to do it? He did want to do it. And he went with ahava. And he had so much ahava, he saddled his own donkey. And yet the dichotomy is that while his love got the better of him and he saddled his own donkey, he still had the presence of mind to daven, Hashem, make it that I don't have to do this. Even though when the Malach told him, don't do it, Avraham said, could I please do it? Why? Because he's torn. On the one hand, he wants to prove his love to Hashem, so he's davening, please can I do it? And on the other hand, he's davening, please, that I shouldn't have to do it. It's really remarkable. So the Hafla learns that V'nashuva was a tefillah, namely, Hashem b'mavatel l'gzeira. What do you mean? Because Avram said, Hashem, I know you promised me, ki b'yitzchak yikar l'chazara. But Avram thought because of his sins, he lost that nevuah. And therefore Hashem is telling him to shacht Yitzchak. So Avram is davening Hashem, be mevatel the gezerah of the Akeida. It says v'nashuva. It should say v'nishtachave nashuva or shenashuva. And the Hafla brings proofs that the vav sometimes doesn't mean and. Okay, so that's one identifying tefillah that Avraham Avinu offered. Another one is found in the Ralbag. The Ralbag, also one of the Rishonim. You ever see the Sefer of the Ralbag? Rabbeinu Levi ben Gershom. He's known as Gersonides. Yeah? So the Rambam is Maimonides because he's the son of Maimon. And the Ramban is Nachmanides, he's the son of Nachman. Okay? So, if your father is Feivel, then you're Feivalides. So the Ralbag is Gersonides, Gershon, okay? He says, Ava'aye haseh la'oila, right? Avram Yitzchak going to the Akeida, and Yitzchak is getting a little suspicious. Hinei ha'etz va'etzim, va'aye haseh v'la'oila. So what does Avram say? Eloikim yira Eloi haseh la'oila b'ni. Says Ralbag, Amar b'derech tefillah. He said it as a prayer. She'yir Eloi Hashem, she'yi Eloi Hashem, sham la'oila Eloi b'nai. Avraham davened, Eloikim yir Eloi haseh, Hashem, please make some kind of ram appear in lieu of Yitzchak Avinu. So that wasn't just Avram communicating to Yitzchak, God will show us the sheep. It was the tefillah of Avram, Hashem, I'm willing to do what you want, and I'm doing it ba'ahava, and I'm enraptured in my ahava, and at the same time Avram davened that he shouldn't have to do it. So these were two occasions where Avraham davened not to have to do it. Number one, v'nashuva, and number two, Elokim yir Eloi hasneh. Rav Miller, in his Sefer, Yehi Ar, see it? Yehi Ar. he says the question may be raised, did Avraham pray to Hashem that Yitzchak be spared? If he did, it was no blemish on his loyalty, for until Hashem forbade him, he resolutely had continued to fulfill the command to offer up his son. So the question is, so why doesn't the Torah mention his tefillah? Number one, because obviously he davened. What father wouldn't daven not to do something like this? And number two, it's easy that Hashem could withdraw his own decree. Avraham davened for Sodom, and it's recorded because it was noteworthy. Because Avraham davened even for the people of Sodom? But Avraham davening for his own son, of course he would daven for his own son. Rabbi Meir says, and what was the tefillah? 2 verses in the narrative demonstrate examples of Avraham prayer. And Avraham said to his young men, Shivu lachem poi imachamar, vani v'anar nelcha ad koi, v'nishtachave, v'nashuva. V'nashuva means, Hashem, please allow us to return. Secondly, when Avraham said, Elokim yiralei hasneh, this was a prayer directed to Hashem to spare Yitzchak. I would humbly offer that there is a third prayer that Avraham Avinu said, and that is, it is found in Rashi. Rashi says that when the Malach said, Avraham, Avraham, don't do it! On the pasuk, Vayikra Avraham Shem HaMakom Adonai Yireh Asher Yeomer Hayom Behar Adonai Yireh, says Rashi. Says Rashi. On the pasuk before, on the pasuk Tachas Benai, Me'achar shekosav vayaleu la'oila. Why? Once it says that Avram Avinu was willing to bring him up as an oila, Lo chasar hamikra klum. Once it says that Avram brought the ram as an oila, vayaleu la'oila, why does it need to say Tachas Benai? Mahu Tachas Benai? Says Rashi, Al kol avoida sha'asa mimenu hayam mispalel va'omer yiratzon shetehezu ki'ilu hi asuya bivni ki'ilu bini shachot ki'ilu damai zaruk ki'ilu hu mufshat ki'ilu niktar v'nasa deshen. Says Rashi, every avodah Avraham Avinu did to the ayol, he davened, Hashem, please reckon it like I did it to Yitzchak. That was another tefillah of Avraham Avinu. Not just Avraham davened that he shouldn't have to do it to Yitzchak, but once he did it to the ayol, he was mispalel, Hashem should consider it as if he did it to Yitzchak. So when we say Misha'ana la'Avraham Avinu b'har ha'Vayeira, perhaps it's also referring to that third tefillah of Avraham Avinu at the Akeida. Okay, so that's an interesting topic. By the way, there's an amazing Meshech Chachma, where the Meshech Chachma says that we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mitztaref machshava toiva l'maisa. That when a Jew thinks to do a mitzvah, Hashem considers it as if he did the mitzvah. When did that concept kick in? When did it go into effect? You would have expected when Hashem gave the Torah to Klal Yisrael, that concept went into effect. That concept does not apply to the nations of the world. If a Gentile thinks to do a mitzvah and an oinus happens, he doesn't get reward. Why does a Jew get reward? The answer is because the basic fundamental nature of a Jew is to want to do the ratzon of Hashem, Ritzaynenu la'asos ritzoncha. The concept of chishev la'asos mitzvah v'nenas mala olav hakasav kilu asa is predicated on the idea that deep down we want to do the right thing. When did that concept come into effect? It came into effect at the Akeida. The act of the Akeida set into motion the idea of chishev la'asos mitzvah, which may be one of the reasons we read about the Akeida on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, when we make Kabbalahs, So we say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, we didn't fulfill it yet, but consider it like you did it. And that concept was set into motion through the Akeida. In any event, these are some thoughts on Akeida. Yitzchak, I'll tell you one more zach.
Recording stop.